Hello, everybody, and I hope you're having a blessed day. And today I want to talk to you about two products. Now, I'm not getting reimbursed for this, but I really do feel that there are two products that are extremely important. One of them, the Stop Bleeding or Bleed Stop. Um, my son bought that. He bought it in case of an emergency, something happened, we got hurt because we only have one vehicle in the family and it's not always parked at the house. And so we're really, really far from the closest hospital or even for an ambulance to get here. And, you never know what kind of emergency could happen that maybe an ambulance couldn't even get to you for a very long time. And, you could really be in a bad situation and need these two products to help. First one is called Nu Skin. I consider it kind of like stitches. I really do. I've known people that actually slice themselves open, and their legs or arms, and they put the Nu Skin on, and it helps. I mean, it actually will heal. I've had to use it a couple of times myself. I sliced the tip of my finger off, the very tip. There was no finger tip left. And I put Nu Skin on it. And I kept putting it on, even when it started to kind of peel off. And so it's very, very helpful. Now, the Stop Bleed or Bleed Stop, I've used that. I didn't think I would ever have to use it, but I had a situation where a member in the family came in and was just blood gushing out of the top of their head. And, you panic. You see that kind of blood and you're like, oh my gosh. And, your first thought is to try to get this, the bleeding to stop. That's what you want to do and hope to do is to stop the bleeding. And so you immediately try to put pressure on it to get it to stop. Well, that wasn't working. I was putting pressure and I dirtied every towel, everything. I mean, it was a mess. And I was really beginning to panic. And then I remembered this stuff. Now, my son, when he brought it, I thought it was nonsense. I really, really did. But I was down to my last hope because I said to myself, if I don't get this stop bleeding, what will happen probably is they will bleed out and they would end up dying because I knew there was no way an ambulance was going to get here on time. And we don't have a guarantee that an ambulance will in a situation like that. So I immediately poured the powder on top of wherever I saw the blood coming. I just was pouring this powder. And I was just grabbing toilet paper because they were sitting on top of the toilet seat. And the toilet paper was right there. And I was quick putting it on there and then pressing and pressing hard. And it stopped bleeding. I was like, oh, wow. It worked. It stopped bleeding. I was so excited because I was putting towels before and it was not working. It was not stopping. The blood just kept coming and coming. And so it worked. And this could be something that really does save your life. And I mean that. So it's very, very important. To me, I think it would be for an emergency to have it on hand because that ambulance may not get there on time. He may not be able to get to your house or you get to a hospital fast enough. But anyhow, the third thing on there is a bottle. It says Dr. Diet Pepper, and it's got water in it. Now, I want to explain that a lot of people know this. Your grandparents had what they called ice boxes, and it was just a box, and they put a block of ice in it, and it would keep milk, butter, small amounts of food cold enough that it was safe to eat. Well, refrigerators came along, and they got rid of the ice box, and there's no man coming around with a horse and a buggy and blocks of ice anymore. And sometimes our refrigerators go down. They do. And we were sitting there with mayonnaise, sour cream, ketchups, butters, milk, different things that could go bad on us. And we really, really don't want to have to throw it away. Well, if you've got a freezer, deep freeze, you can put couple of bottles of 2 liters in your freezer with water in it, and it'll freeze solid, and you just can leave it there. And if something happens to your refrigerator, you can take everything that's in the freezer section in that and put it into your deep freeze. And you can use your freezer now like you would your ice box, what your grandparents used to use. And you can put your milk, your butters, your mayonnaise, ranch dressing, and everything in the freezer section of your refrigerator, if you have a freezer. If you don't, you can use this to keep whatever in the freezer colder for a longer time, but you're going to have to do something very quickly. Otherwise, whatever you have in that freezer is going to defrost on you, and you will end up having to cook it all or something and eat it all, unless you have a friend that maybe you can, give the food to or something that will hold it for you. But a lot of people have a freezer, and they also have a refrigerator with a freezer, and they turn around and they use both. They'll use their deep freeze and the freezer part of the refrigerator. Well, this way you can turn your refrigerator into an old-fashioned icebox. I actually did that once for a long time. I used my freezer part of my refrigerator just like an icebox. But my Nutter Butter says this is not, back in my grandparents' days, and he thought that was nonsense, that I would freeze bottles of water and use my freezer as an icebox. I would have kept doing it, but he didn't like the idea. He thought that was just silly. But like I said, you could. And if you're broke and don't have the money and you're in a bad situation at the time, you can do this if you have a freezer. You can freeze water, leave it there in an emergency. You can use your freezer section to keep your perishables cold so they don't perish. And that's what I did for a very long time. Why he didn't like the idea, he didn't. I guess he's like, stop that nonsense. But I did it for, 4 or 5 months. I did. Partly I did because I wanted to save money to buy another refrigerator. The one I had was so old, and I just thought time to get a new one, and I wanted to pay cash and didn't want to buy it on credit. And when I had the money and he knew I had it, that was it. He wanted a refrigerator. Well, God bless, and I hope this helps you.